va bien?
Ça va bien toi?
Oui, la vie est belle.
Excellent.
Mais enchanté virtuellement?
Absolument, enchanté, ça fait plaisir. Thank you for having me.
Oui, oui, yeah, you're welcome anytime. So let me see here. Yeah, people are gonna log in and everything. Not a problem. So, tu veux qu'on fasse ça franglais, français, anglais? Qu'est-ce que vous voulez?
Franglais, c'est comme tu veux. On peut faire en français, en anglais, ça me dérange pas.
On va faire les deux. On va
On peut faire
commencer
franglais, yeah, for sure.
franglais, pourquoi pas. Parfait. So, je vais voir ici. Choco Rodrigo, welcome. On va voir plein de questions. C'est sûr, il va y avoir plein de gens qui vont demander quelques questions. C'est sûr. On va enregistrer ça. We're going to record this.
Okay,
Puis on va le mettre sur notre channel de YouTube. Ça
perfect.
serait vraiment intéressant. So, Simon Arsenault, OK? On a plein de questions pour vous. We have a lot of questions. Dis-nous, pour les personnes qui ne connaissent pas, t'es qui? Who are you and what do you do?
First of all, I'm from Montreal. I'm a sports passionate. I started my career in the sports business since a long time.
Mhm.
When I was young, I was dreaming about being a professional athlete, but that never happened. Like I realized early in my childhood that I didn't have enough talent to become a professional. But I always kept in mind that maybe I'll have the talent and I'll put the effort to become a sports entrepreneur or a
Okay.
sports business person. So in 2005, I went to France. I finished my university degree there, the business school in Marseille. And when
Marseille,
I
yeah.
yeah, in Marseille. And then when I came back, I had a business also in France, and I used to have little businesses earlier in my life. But then when I came back, my business didn't go the way that I was expecting to, and then I had to take decisions. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Should I start a new business from scratch, or should I try to find a job and find a little bit of security and get some experience? But as an entrepreneur, we're so passionate, we're so devoted that we don't see ourselves working for anyone. Because when we work on something, we work day and night because it's not a work, it's a passion. This is how our mindset is made as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
But as a kid that always dreamed about playing or working for the Montreal Canadiens, I also have a passion for the entertainment in general. I told myself the only company that I would see myself working for and really give everything I have, like if it would be my own business, would be the Montreal Canadiens
Okay.
organization. So in 2005, it was the lockout in the NHL. We remember like we had no hockey for 1 year.
Yes.
So in the offices of the Canadiens, they fired a lot of people during that period. A little bit like right now because they were not able to operate. And then I got lucky, and then I made a call, I applied there, and then they finally called me back a few weeks later for a first interview. And after a series of 3 interviews, I got a job with the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
So I started there 2 weeks in the marketing division. And then in 2007, I got transferred to Evenko, who used to be the Gillette Entertainment Group.
That's right.
And they asked me to develop some new projects, new events, try to bring business to town. And I decided to focus on the sports events. So I worked there 9 years, and
9 years, bravo.
yeah, another 9 years, so total of 11 years. And I was the director of the sporting events. And this is how I got all my connections with the athletes and the legends of sports. And after that, in 2016,
You launched your business.
I launched my business after 11 years there, and I created that agency called MVP Group. And now this is what I do since almost 4 years. And I help brands, I help companies to develop partnerships with professional athletes and sports legends.
Okay.
That's what I do right now. Yeah.
And what's the difference between a sports agent
Yeah.
and your company, yourself?
It's pretty different. There's similarities, but there's a lot of differences. So the traditional agent, his mission and his mandate is to work in the exclusive interest of his athlete.
Okay.
That's his mandate. So he needs to manage his career. He needs to negotiate his contract with his sports organization, and he needs to take care of his needs and of himself, his family, everything. But also in terms of marketing, he try to find the best companies for his athletes.
Okay.
I work the opposite model. I help the companies to find the best athletes for them. So instead of being an agent, traditional agent that try to find best companies for them, I help brands. I'm out there in the market and I tell any brands, if you guys want to connect with an athlete, you don't know how, you don't know who,
come see me.
you don't know how much, talk to us. We're expert into this, and we're going to work in the interest of the brand on one side, and on the other side, we're going to bring to the athletes or to the agent of the athletes some good opportunities. So that's the difference. But we also represent a certain amount of athletes and sports legends. On our website, we have almost 50 sports personalities. That
like who are a couple of your clients, if you don't mind me asking?
Of course. We have a lot of Olympic athletes and former Olympic athletes. So guys like Bruni Surin, Joanie Rochette, Alex Bilodeau. Also, we work with a lot of hockey players, obviously. So I work with a lot of Montreal Canadiens alumni players, guys like Guy Carbonneau, Evenko, Guy Lafleur. And then since about 2 years, 3 years, I started to work with more current Canadiens players. So now we have established relation with Thomas Tatar, the Tuna Tatar, and also Paul Byron, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. So yeah, a lot of hockey players, also boxers. Jean-Pascal.
So correct me if I'm wrong. So you connect them with companies for them to use them as advertisement. Is that it? That's one of the reasons?
It's one of them, yeah. So actually we can do it all. So if a company wants a guest of honor for their golf tournament, it's probably not going to happen this summer.
No.
Unfortunately.
You never know, but probably not.
Yeah. So it could be for a guest of honor. If you're opening a new store or you do a promotion, you want a sports personality, you can hire them for a couple hours.
Autograph and everything.
Autograph. Also, we do social media campaign. So now this is the trend. That's why we're talking on Instagram. So athletes are really, really active on most of them are active on their social media. So for a brand who wants to conduct a campaign, we're going to find the best athletes that represent the brand so we can do a deal. And then we try to help also on the creation of the content. So we're also involved in the strategy, the content, the concept. So it's kind of a few divisions that we have. And another of them is keynote speakers.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we have marketing, keynote speakers, social media, events, and also team building that we can do.
Beautiful. And I noticed that now you said that you used to work at Evenko and so on and so on. For sure, you gained a lot of experience there, right? So from what I read is that you helped organize Blue Jays coming to town, right? Yeah. Events like Hillary Clinton, so on and so on.
Yeah, that was some of the projects that I was in charge of it with the team over there. Obviously, we had a big team and it was a great organization to work with. So my goal was to try to bring new events to Montreal. So back then we were managing the UFC events that we had at the Bell Center with Georges St-Pierre. So those were great memories that we all have. So I was kind of the representative of the Bell Center. So I was in charge of renting the Bell Center and also work on the financials, do the forecast, and then bring the event in the company and then work with different departments. So like marketing, sponsorship, production, ticket sales, stuff like that. So the biggest project that I've been privileged to work on was the UFC events, the boxing events. The Raptors game that we had almost every year, the preseason. The Blue Jays was a very nice event that we brought to
twice,
town.
Right?
Well, we actually did. When I left, I did five editions. So, and then they were supposed to do their 7th edition this year, and that works really well because we didn't know how many people we were going to gather at the Olympic Stadium. It was a preseason game. It was the Toronto Blue Jays, and we ended up almost filling the Olympic Stadium for 2 games. Almost 100,000 tickets sold the first year. So it was a great experience, and I really enjoyed doing this.
Bravo. Do you think you could have launched MVP, your company, MVP without gaining all that experience with Evenko and so on and so on?
I think without the experience, maybe yes, because I could have gained this experience somewhere else in terms of business skills. But in terms of the network and the relationship that I had developed over the years with the athletes and with the agents and with the sports personalities, without that, no, that would not have been possible.
So let's say somebody that's watching this video right now, that's about to graduate school, whatever the case is, right? Do you suggest for them to open up their business right away, or work for somebody, gain that experience, and then branch out if the time comes?
I like this question because that's a subject that I like to talk about. Because when I was 25 years old and I decided to take a chance to find a job with the Montreal Canadiens, my first option, my first dream would have been to have a business right away, you know. But at the same time, I remember my big brother, he was my mentor, and he still is my mentor. He always told me back then, if you want to make money one day, start helping someone to make money.
There you go.
So then you're going to increase your value. You're going to get the experience. You're going to increase your credibility. And then you're going to know how it works. And on the second step, then you're going to be in a solid position to launch your own business. So when I got the job with the Montreal Canadiens in 2005, when I got the job, I was so happy. It was a dream come true. And in my mind, I was thinking about, you know what, maybe spending the rest of my life there on that day, because for me it was so big. And but after 10 years, I was really happy for 10 years. I felt privileged to be there every day. In the last year, I was turning 36 years old, and you cannot remove the entrepreneur inside yourself.
Of course not.
That's always there. And I love that job there because I had the flexibility and the trust. They were giving me the trust to develop, projects and bring new businesses in the company. So I was able to manifest my entrepreneurship. But after that, I decided to take a chance. Like, I took a risk because I quit my job. I had good conditions. It was a great organization, and I decided to try to start a new vision, a new thing from scratch. Like, I had the networks, I had the connections with the athletes, but I had no clients, I had nothing. But in my mind, I was analyzing, okay, what's the worst case? What's going to happen if I don't succeed? My worst option, my worst scenario was that I find zero revenue, right? And how long can I last without revenue? Okay, let's say 1 year. So that's gonna bring me some money lost for 1 year. How much that could be? I did the calculation and I said, okay, if that's the case, am I able to deal with that? Yes. And then what's the worst? I can find another job after. So this is why I was confident to try, and then I made the move.
There you go. So are you a Habs fan?
Oh yeah, it's. I'm satisfied.
Do you think we're ever gonna see a Stanley Cup in Montreal again?
That's a good question. I would love to. I think we have chances like all the other teams. Now there's 30 teams.
Yeah.
31. Sorry, 31.
Coming up Seattle, right?
And soon 32. So if we want to be in the average, if we win one Stanley Cup every 32 years, we're good. Okay? So now we haven't won for since 93. Not even
93,
26 years. So if we win in the next 6 years, we're better than the average. So I think, yeah, it's feasible, because when you hear players like recently Ben Sherrod said, and Max Domi and these guys saying that there's no better place to play hockey than Montreal. It's a great city. We live well here. So I think there's going to be more and more players that's going to want to come here, and the fans are so passionate. So I think we're gonna see success soon.
I hope. What do you think they should change to make it happen? What do you think about price? Do you think it's overrated?
Oh, that's a sensible question.
No,
But
no, ladies and gentlemen, this is not scripted. It's just conversation between the Nick and Jimmy show
yeah,
and Simon. I'm Jimmy, by the way, and yeah. So,
it's
what do
a
you think about that?
I think technically he's the best. He's definitely the best that we have seen since many years. Um, I really loved Halak in 2010.
Yeah,
And when they traded him, I think I would have kept him maybe.
he's in Philly now, no?
Now he was with Boston this year.
Boston, yeah.
So 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 Carey Price, all the players are saying he's the best. So if it's coming from the players, we can't argue against that. I think his technique is amazing. I would just love to see the team winning with him. And in the past, we've seen him bringing very good performance, but we haven't won any playoff. We won a few playoff series, but I'd love to see him win a few series
But
again for sure.
we had it. I think the year that I think it was the conference finals or right before when he got injured by the Rangers. I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if you
know.
remember. We
Of
had it,
course,
man.
of course,
The
yeah.
momentum was through the roof.
I
But
know.
it is what it is.
I know, man. He got injured, and then Tokarski took his place, and
Yeah.
we were in semifinal at that time. So
In
yeah,
semifinal, yeah.
that was the best run that we had, I think, in the
Yeah.
last few years. And so for sure, I think it's good to keep him because if we trade him, like who's gonna be in the net? And there's it's rare to find a good goalie like this. So I think when you have one, you better keeping it and try to build around. And I still have a few good years in front of him for sure.
I agree. And I heard that a lot of NHL players, actually Simon Salikis, I don't know if you know who Simon is. He's
Simon
on
who?
Simon Salikis. He's
Oh
on
no.
TSN Radio, so on and so on. He was on the show a couple of days ago, and he said a lot of people will get pay cuts because of this virus. Let's talk about the virus. What do you think? How did this COVID-19 affect your business? Let's talk about that.
It affects a lot because most of our projects are related to events,
Of
are
course.
related to sports. So right now, like I had a few contracts that have been canceled because I was booking like sports personalities as speakers. So all those events have been canceled. I've been there's an opportunity. There's also always opportunities, even in the bad situation.
Of
And
course.
with the social media, with the athletes being really involved, really active on them, and with all those brands that wants to promote their products, there's still some opportunity to grow there, to connect with more brands and to offer them to work with our athletes, our Montreal Canadiens players, our other Montreal Impact players that I work with also. So I think that could still be good right now. But for sure, the fact that there's no more sports anywhere on the planet, we don't see the athletes active, so their fame and their glory and their story is on pause right now. So
For sure.
that we kind of forget them a little bit. So it affects the business, and I just hope that everything is gonna be like some sports will restart soon, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah, for sure. But a lot of things will change, right? And how do you think it will change? In what way? Because for the next up until there's a vaccine, if or when it's going to be at 12 in 12 months, in 24 months.
Yeah.
Actually, Rodrigo, very good question. Will sports be different moving forward? That was my question, but thank you, Rod.
That's a good point because even when life's gonna go back normal, like let's say now next week we're starting to reopening a few businesses and gradually we're gonna reopen. The virus still there, like you said, until we find a vaccine. What's gonna happen with the public gathering? What's gonna happen with all
Exactly.
those sports events that you're sitting side by side with strangers everywhere in the building, like in the stands, when you're ordering a beer, when you go to the
Yeah.
toilet, like so. Even when they're gonna allow that, is people gonna want to go? Is people gonna take the risk to go back? I don't know. Maybe some people know. And so I think all the industry is gonna have to adapt. Like maybe there's gonna be less people that are willing to spend Also because there's going to be this economic factor that because of all the job losses and all the maybe some businesses that are unfortunately bankrupt and stuff like that, some people will maybe spend less on their entertainment and on the sports events. So maybe they're going to have to lower the prices. Maybe there's going to be less people allowed in the building because maybe they can come up with a rule that say, okay, there's going to be one people sitting, one empty seat, one people sitting.
Yeah, maybe two or three seats apart.
Exactly. So maybe they're going to have to reduce their capacity, reduce their price because there's going to be less people. So it's going to affect for sure. But I think
a lot of players will get a big pay cut, like in your Premier League in Europe, apparently, 30% pay cut.
Absolutely. And
that's no choice.
Yeah. And that's what we're seeing right now with the NHL because they have a system that they share the revenue with the players. They have a partnership 50-50. So that's how they calculate the salary cap. They determine the salary cap based on the revenue of the league. And then the salary cap is what is the money allowed to spend on the salary for the players. So right now, from what I heard, if they don't complete the actual season, the loss will be around 1 billion. Crazy. So if there's, and they have a total revenue of about 5 billion in the NHL. So if they lose 20% of the revenue, that's going to have probably a direct impact on the salary cap next year. So for all the free agents and all the other players that will have to renew their contracts in the next year or in the next couple of years, it's not going to be the same budget allowed. So they're going to get a pay cut. So it's going to be a big change that everyone's going to have to adapt to it.
There you go. I totally agree. What's your favorite sport? Is it hockey or football?
I prefer.
Okay. Do you think Quebec Nordiques? Oh, there you are. Do you think Quebec Nordiques have a room?
To come back, like hockey is my favorite sport, that's for sure. But like, just to answer that question, I love all the sports. Like I follow also tennis. I follow soccer. Well, he's good, huh? Yeah. But we have a lot of talent in Canada, like since a few years. And the program, the Tennis Canada program, is working so well, and they have developed some incredible talent with Bianca Andreescu and Shapovalov and Auger Aliassime, and now Leila Fernandez is coming. So that's great to see because we're not a big nation. We're out of 35 million people. We're getting this talent and that is really performing on the world stage. So tennis is great. Formula One, so I'm a real passionate. Like I watch RDS and Sportsnet TSN every day, and it's fun because I'm able to work in my passion. So no, it's great. And regarding the Nordiques, maybe the actual situation could help the Quebec market.
You think?
To come back. Yeah, I think so, because it's going to affect every market will be affected, like we said, because we don't know what's going to happen. Like, is people going to still spend a lot of money on sports?
Well, there's no cases in Quebec City, so
there's less cases than here. That's a good argument.
Only 100 apparently.
Really? Wow.
Apparently.
So they have a good system to get
less
protected.
Tourism, so yeah.
So no, I think definitely in Quebec City, it would be great to have a team back because first they have a beautiful building. They have a decent size of market. Is for sure it would be in the smallest of the league, but they have enough, and they have so much. Like the percentage of hockey fans on the total population is so high, so that's a fact that they should consider. Because even if you're comparing with a market that they have 2-3 million people living with maybe 3% of hockey fans, but in Quebec City they're maybe 800,000 people with 80% of hockey fans. I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers, but for sure the rate is way higher. So there's a few market that is struggling, like New Jersey, Florida, Phoenix. We've seen one team move in from Atlanta to Winnipeg a few years ago, and since they're established in Winnipeg, the Jets
they're flying.
They're rocking. So maybe because of this situation, if it's hard for them to come back, it's hard for them to bring back the fans in the arena. if Quebec get an opportunity to buy a team for a transfer, I think maybe we'll see that. That would be amazing.
How about the Expos? Do you think they're ever going to come back?
The Expos, I think
they were talking about it.
Good chances, because it's funny, because when we brought the Blue Jays to Montreal in 2014, it was 10 years after the Expo quit. And when we brought the Blue Jays and we fill out the Olympic stadiums, then some business people and the Maire Coderre, Denis Coderre back then, he's a huge Expos fans and baseballs fan. They decided, like, they were already trying to work on this project to bring back the Expos with also Warren Cromartie, a former player. But when we brought the Blue Jays, it showed the world that, hey, we have baseball fans in Montreal to show up for exhibition game for a Toronto team. So that really helped to bring water under the bridge, like to bring wind to the project. And since that day, with
to plant some seeds.
Exactly. And it showed the interest, and it showed that there's really an interest in about baseball here. So now, because they have Mr. Bronfman involved and Pierre Boivin and Mitch Garber and Alain Bouchard, these guys are, business people with a lot of notoriety, really serious guy, really solid. So by seeing that this project is managed by these business people, I think this project could happen. And if they are able to build a stadium here in Griffintown, it's a couple blocks from here, actually. So I would love to go watch a few games a year. And I think being in downtown will help to bring the business people to go there after work. The only thing I'm questioning about baseball is that I know baseball is a very traditional mentality, okay, very conservative mentality in the way to play the game and all that. And I think there's just too many games a year, like 162 games. It's a lot of baseball, and half is in the hometown, so 81 games, and it's right in the middle of summer for us. So there's a lot of people taking vacations during that period. So a lot of people going to the cottage, going out of town. There's less business going on in July and August in Quebec and in Montreal. So I think that could affect the attendance.
Good point. You have a good point there.
Yeah, and also the sponsors and the corporate suites. When you buy a corporate suites, it's really expensive, and you need to bring 12 clients or 15 clients a game. Some weeks they have games every night. So I'm not sure about that, how the market would react. How many people can we really bring in the stadium game after game after game? But I don't hate the idea of splitting a team with Tampa Bay. You heard about that?
I heard about that, actually. Yeah. Yes.
So that's what they're working on right now, and that's the rumors, but it's more than rumors. I think there's definitely real talks. And so what they're talking about is to split a team with another city in Florida, because in Tampa Bay, they are having a hard time also bringing fans in the stadium. They want to build a new stadium also, and at the same time, the market is not really responding as much as they would want. So the idea would be to have half of the games here and half of the games in Florida, and we never have seen this in the past. Like in the professional sports in North America, we never seen that. So why not? Maybe that's the future of baseball. Maybe that's the future of some sports team. Because are you better to be in one city and have a low average of attendance, or are you better to have less games and create the la rareté that there's?
This is why Rodrigo wrote here. This is why football is so good. Less games, more value.
Totally. And sometimes you're better to have a smaller stadium or less events and more people, and create that value and create that factor of, I need to get a ticket, and the fear
of loss,
la rareté en français. So it's a little bit of what happened with the Montreal Alouettes, because remember a few years ago, it was a hot ticket, the Alouettes. It was sold out every game. They had a few seasons back to back sold out. So they decided back then to increase the capacity of the stadium. And I think they brought the capacity, I'm not sure, but I think it was about 18,000, 19,000 to 25,000.
Okay.
And since they did those renovations, they never got sold out anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to evaluate, because when you're sold out for an event, are you sold out by 100 tickets, or are you sold out by 5,000 tickets?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's hard.
Well, it depends.
It depends. You don't really know.
Yeah.
Well, you can know now with the internet and the click and how many people are on your website, and you sell your tickets and how long.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
You don't know exactly. Are you just at the limit? You're sold out, but it's still the capacity of the market, or could you potentially sell 5,000 more tickets? So when that happened with the Alouettes, they increased the capacity of the stadium. Since that day, they were not sold out, and because they're not sold out, it creates a reverse effect. And the effect is that, okay, I don't have to rush to buy tickets because I know it's not sold out. Scalpers are making less good business. I'm not saying that, you know, I talk about like legal reselling. There's less legal reselling, so all the value of the tickets is going down, and then it could have a reverse effect that your 20,000 people that you used to have every game, maybe you're going to end up with 18 and 17 because you remove that fear of loss, that cette rareté.
There you go. Rodrigo wrote, will NFL ever have a Canadian team?
I know they tried in Toronto. And a few years ago, they had a deal with the Buffalo Bills because
it's right there. It's on top.
It's beside, and they have a lot of Bills fans, I guess, in Toronto.
Yeah.
And they made a deal with the franchise there in Buffalo, and I think there was a 3-year deal, and I think it was 2 games a year.
Okay.
And it was really expensive for the promoters in Toronto to buy out those games, because you have to cover their ticket sales, you have to cover the loss of their sponsorship, you have to cover like many other revenue when you're like the food and bev and the parkings and the service charge and all that. So they brought the games in Toronto, and they even didn't sell out in Toronto. So the promoters in Toronto lost a lot of money doing that. So they stopped. I think they tried it. They broke the contract. And if there's one city in Canada that could have a team, I guess it's Toronto, because the economy is a bit stronger. The market is a bit bigger.
And it's easier because it's one language, maybe?
I'm not sure about that.
No?
I'm not sure about that. No? Why?
Correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of people don't come to Quebec because of the because it's simpler to keep it one language, right?
You mean when you say people will come to Quebec, you talk about
big corporations, I'm saying.
Corporations, yeah. It's harder for them. Yeah, they need to adapt. It's another reality, for sure.
Let's not get defensive here, right?
No, not at all. But you know what? It's still a good market, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of companies that don't know how to adapt to this market, because it's not the same thinking. No. The consumers are not having the same behaviors, the same way to do things. So for sure, it's one more level of complications.
But Google, I think, just opened up an office, or they're opening up an office for, I think, 1,500 employees, old Montreal. So that's going to be good for the Montreal market. But
yeah, no, for sure. But there's always pros and cons in everything. There's nothing perfect. So Montreal, when you talk to professional athletes that play here, if I talk to Montreal Canadiens players, they love Montreal. They love Montreal because it's a cultural city. There's 100%. A lot of people are passionate, warm blood. Also the old Montreal, the architecture, the European side. We eat well, so we have a good quality of life, and it's a nice place to live because it's a very animated city. So I think for athletes, they would love to come to play here. For the size of the market, this is the main thing, I think. Like compared to Toronto, it's not the same level. Like if you just look at the real estate, you look at the salaries, everything is more expensive in Toronto. So for a professional team that like an NBA team or an NFL team, everything is more expensive. It costs a lot of money to support the team.
Of course.
So for sure, I think
Like
Toronto
a little
would,
one bedroom apartment just in Toronto is like $2,000 a month.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine. So it's really, there's way more money there. So I would see.
Yeah,
an
but also
NFL
the
team
cost
that-
of living is there, so it would make sense, right?
Totally. No, that would be nice.
Rodrigo wrote best strip clubs. Yeah, well, in a way, Montreal is the Vegas of Canada, right?
Kind of, yeah.
In a way,
And
so
but
I
back
agree.
in the days, I know the Montreal Canadiens love to go, like maybe in the 80s, and I heard so many stories about the players. But you know what? Now players are so much focused on their career,
Yeah,
and with all those social media that everyone has a camera live. So for the players now, they don't go out that much anymore because first they're focused on their career. They need to be 100% when they go to the game, and with all those cameras, they expose themselves way less than back in the days.
What's the biggest challenge working with celebrities or stars like the hockey, like the Habs players, in your opinion? What's the biggest challenge that you have?
Well, the challenge is, well, first of all, it's all based on the trust of the relationship. So
Okay.
the good thing now is because when I started, the day one of the company, I had about 35 sports personalities on board.
Okay.
And they decided to follow me because they knew me and they trusted me. So it's all about the trust and it's all
Yeah.
about the relationship. And, you know, during my years with Evenko, because for me, athletes are role models in the society, and they have been my role models when I was young. I had my idols were like Patrick Roy and Wayne Gretzky and
Yeah.
some other athletes really influenced me positively. And these guys I always admired them a lot. So during my years with Evenko, because I had the chance to see some time, I took care of developing this relationship, and there's this respect with them, to take care of them and be nice to them, and this is how I was able to build my relationship and my network. So when I started the business, like I said, they followed me because they trusted me. So it's all about the trust. So the way to keep the trust is to be really honest, straight shooter, transparent, and I would say reliable. So if I'm able to stay like that, and I'm gonna keep the trust and I'm gonna keep the relationship. And the good thing now is that because when I need to reach another athlete that I don't know, I go by reference from one athlete to another one to another one to another one. So for me, I could say that's the challenge, is to increase my network, to know more people in the sports business and throughout the athletes, but it's just to stay to take care of the relation with them and to be tight. If I say something, to do it and bring them good opportunities and make them shine and make them feel special, and be simple. There's no bullshit, and not try to impress them. They have a good feeling. They're good people. You know, that's what I love from athletes. They're, most of them, really down to earth. Even if they're millionaires, even if they're famous, they are the people that is the nicest to work with, because that really impressed me when I started to work with athletes. These guys are the most reliable people that I never seen in my life. If you're asking someone, an athlete, hey, could you do this or an appearance for whatever it is, or this date at this time, if he tells you yes, you don't have to remind him. Even if it's 3 weeks,
They're disciplined. They're on the ball.
they're so disciplined. It's gonna be in their agenda, their calendar. They give you their word. They're gonna be there, and you know what? They're not gonna be late. I never seen an athlete being late, and because they're so drilled like that, and all their life they're easy to work with. And when they trust you, you can ask them many things, and they're gonna do it if it makes sense and it's interesting for them. They're gonna listen to you because they've been drilled all their life to follow the instructions from the coaches, from the trainers. So when I'm able to work with with an athlete and I say, okay, here's the plan. We got to go there. We got to do this. Please do this, do that. just do it. And for sure, I don't ask them to do stupid things, but it's unbelievable to work with these guys. And the guy that is the most on time, and I would say on time is not the good expression, is Guy Lafleur. Guy Lafleur, I've worked on a few projects with him.
Even with all the hangovers?
He doesn't. I don't know. I don't think he got too much hangover now. I know back in the days he had so many stories. Yeah, but he's a so nice guy to work with, and Guy is he's so like natural, and he says what he think, and he's unbelievable to work with, because when you meet him, first of all, he respects his fans so much, and when you meet him, you feel like you know him since always. He treats everyone like his best friend. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable.
He's very humble.
And very humble and very attentionate. And he realized what his role. He realized who he is and the impact that he has. And when you tell him, okay, Guy, you need to be there at 2:00. I remember one time I booked him for a conference, and we had a dinner before. The dinner was at 5:00. So I told him, please be there around 4:45. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to get there around 4:15, 4:30. I'll be in advance. I'll be there, see the client and the host, Guy. When I got there at 4:20,
he was already there.
He was finishing his plate. He got there around 3:00. So we always get on the spot a couple hours in advance. And it's so funny. Now I know if I book Guy, I got to show up 2 hours in advance, because he'll arrive before me. And he told me one day, he said, you know what, Simon, when you're 15 minutes in advance, you're late.
Okay, so you should be half an hour, let's say.
Oh yeah, but it's always a 1 hour or two. So, but it's nice. He takes the time to enjoy doing it and to meet the people. And
he still has a bar restaurant, Saint Therese, or where? No, Boisbriand?
No, he sold it. He sold it. Yeah, he had that with his son Martin.
That's right.
And they ran it for a couple of years. It was called the Bleu Blanc Rouge.
Okay, never been.
It was a nice place. Yeah, nice. I've been there. It was great. And then after they converted into a supper club.
Okay.
And then they had that for a few months, and now they sold it. And now they just launched their wine collection. Have you seen that?
Nope.
Yeah. A couple months ago, they launched the Guy Lafleur wine bottles, high quality wines. I think it's in partnership with wineries in Ontario. And I'm not sure. I think it's that. And it's a great collection. And I think they're going to have a whiskey and all that. So it's good. Yeah, it's good to see athletes involving in the business after their career. You know?
Of course. Especially Serge Savard. Serge Savard, he's one of them. Yeah, my father-in-law knows him really well. He's a big because my father-in-law used to export food for 30 years to Cuba, and Serge Savard had a hotel called Senador.
Exactly.
Cuba. So that's how they connected. And it's a big entrepreneur in real estate, insurance. Well, Arsenault, I think he's just the face. I don't know if he's
I'm not sure about his business relation with Asante, but he's definitely their
the face, I think.
The brand ambassador. We see him in the all the TV campaign. But you know what? I make the parallel many times with a sports career and an entrepreneur career in business, because to have success in business, you got to be disciplined. You gotta set goals. You gotta have a good team spirit. You need to be resilient.
Agreed.
And all those values that we need to success in business is kind of the same in the sports business, in sports career. So that's why a lot of businesses wants to hear professional athletes or sports legend as a speaker to come and inspire and motivate their employees or their clients, because there's so much things in common. And
so that was my next question, actually. Let's say, for example, I want to run an event, or somebody watching this video that wants to run an event, or wants to be a speaker for my employees, and I want to say George St. Pierre or whatever. What's the price tag on that?
For an appearance?
An appearance. How does it usually work?
It's going to depend who it is. Okay, what athlete it is. They all have their different rates. And it's going to depend also. It's always a question of when, for who, for what, and how. And, so.
Okay, so let's say a networking event, 200 people, whatever the case is, or 5 à 7.
You know, it's hard for
George
me to
St.
give
Pierre.
you, it's hard for me to give you a price
Okay.
just like that because it depends of too many factors. But some are really affordable and some are more expensive. George St. Pierre, of course, he's the greatest athletes of all time in
Of course.
Canada. He's the most renowned athletes, Canadian athletes in the world. He's even bigger than Wayne Gretzky on the international level.
Yeah.
So his demand and his fame goes across Canada. So he gets booked and he gets some business requests in Australia, in Asia, in USA. So for sure, he's at another level.
Of course.
But regular athletes or Olympic athletes or even Montreal Canadiens players could be really affordable because people always think, okay, these guys, they made so much money or they make a lot of money. They're not going to show up for that amount and for X amount. But you know what? In some cases, yes, because they want to be involved and they know it's their time to shine. When they're in their active career, some hockey players or professional athletes, they're in the limelight and they love to be to live their fame kind of, or just to be able to share their story.
There you go.
And it's also because when you have companies that say, hey, I'd like to get Thomas Tatar or Brendan Gallagher or Samuel Piet or Patrice Bernier and before I started the business, it was really hard for a company to reach an athlete because you need to find the agent. But the agent is most of the time not in the same city. Most of the NHL agents are not in Montreal. They're in Toronto, New York, LA. So when you're a company and you have an event and you'd like to get an appearance of 1 hour, how do you do that? How are you going to reach the agent? So by creating MVP Group Agency, it's kind of and I didn't tell you that at the beginning, but it's kind of the Expedia that what Expedia created for hotels.
Beautiful.
I'm creating the same thing for athletes. So it's just saying people, hey, look, now if you want an athlete, yes, we do represent a few, but we don't limit ourselves to them. We can connect with any athletes in North America. But instead of trying to find the agent from scratch, it doesn't know established relation, you don't know who to talk, and you don't know how much it's going to cost you, you might end up first going to have a hard time to reach the agent. Second, you might end up paying the double price that if you talk to us, because we know the market. And if we call an agent or an athlete and we say, hey, we offer you that amount to do this, we know it's reasonable because we have benchmarks with other athletes. But for a brand that goes directly to the agent, like I said, the agent works exclusively in the interest of the athlete. The brand's going to say, how much is it for that to do this? I want him to do a TV commercial, some post on Instagram, and 2 appearances in the year. How much? Mm-hmm. The agent might throw a number that could have been way less if you bring an offer. So that's what we're doing. We're helping brands.
I love it, man. Seriously.
Yeah, we help brands to do that. So when a brand contacts us, our first reflex is to sit down with the brand and say, okay, let's analyze your business. What do you want to do in terms of marketing most of the time? And like, who's your target market? What is your budget? And what is your values? Because it's all about values also.
Of course.
And, like I said, athletes are very good. They have so many positive values that they represent, that this is what I'm pushing when I'm proposing a fit with an athlete, is to say, hey, this is going to help you positively for the awareness of your brand. And ultimately, let's try to convert this into increasing your sales, increasing the value of your company. So that's all the thinking that I'm bringing with my team to our clients to say, okay, how can we increase more fans on your Facebook page, on your Instagram? How can we convert that to direct sales? And how could we make your brand different than your competitors by associating by these athletes? And then we bring ideas that some people would never think that athletes would do. And then we package the whole partnership with a budget. And when I go to an athlete or an agent, I bring an offer. Here's the offer. So agents loves to work with us. We're not competitors, we're partners, because I bring them opportunities. So this is how it works. And there's fit for all budgets. you know, and
I'm,
it's
I'm,
sometimes it's not that expensive.
yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to collaborate some way, somehow in the near future. Because I don't know if you know, Nick and I own one of the biggest call centers, or let's say distributions of merchant services in Canada,
Okay, no,
and
I didn't know.
anything that has to do with accepting credit cards. So we have over 5,000 clients all over Canada.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure they would love your service. So we're going to sit down after this virus is done. We're going to
Yeah,
go for a coffee and see how we could work together, for sure.
that would be great, you know, because this is what we do. Like, I love marketing, I love business, and obviously I love sports. So when I work with a client, it's my goal is really that the client's going to get an ROI on his investment. Yeah, I want the client to make money with the deal and to make it profitable. And
Mhm.
when you talk to an agent, of course he's going to want that this client is doing well, but he's not going to offer extra services or extra knowledge for the benefit of the brand.
Mhm.
So that's what we do. And before I started the business, I realized that there was kind of a lack in the market, because there's agents and there's brands, but
Yeah.
where's the experts in between that can provide the advices to the brand and also the athletes in some cases.
Mhm.
So that's the vision that I had, and my goal at the basic of that, at the basis of that, was really to promote positive values. That was kind of
There
a
you go.
social mission that I had. And just to give you a little bit background on this philosophy is that, you know, we live in a world that we're exposed to so many bad news and so many
Absolutely.
negative
Negative.
news. Look at now on the news, it's only COVID. How many deaths, how many people infected, and like we don't talk. It's 90% is bad news, and it's the same thing on the cover of the newspapers normally. And but sometimes you'll see a good news and you'll see a positive news, and 90% of the time it's going to be sports related. It's going to be the glory of a team, the glory of an athlete.
Because it's a distraction, right, towards negativity, right?
It's a distraction, but more than that, it's an inspiration, and it's also sports brings everyone together.
Of course.
No matter if you're Asian, black,
100% raison.
Greek, Italian, white, we're all together. We're all gonna
Yeah.
cheer. We're all gonna do high five together with strangers in front of sports accomplishment and sports performance. And also, doesn't matter also your social level. If you're in the top of the line or any of the average or whatever, where it brings people together. So it's really kind of something magic in a society that brings a positive inspiration.
Bravo.
And the people behind that is the athletes themselves, these humans. So my goal was like, okay, these guys have so much impact in the society. They have a so much strong influence on the youth in the business world,
Of course.
in all this, at all levels, that I want these guys to be more involved, and I
Mhm.
want to make these guys really easily accessible. And this is how I'm based on that I created the agency.
Good for you, man. You should be proud of yourself. We
Yeah, it's nice.
have we have 5 minutes before we get cut. So two questions in one.
Okay.
Number one, so far with dealing with the celebrities, stars, this and that, what was your biggest highlight so far? And second question, who's your dream client?
Okay, good questions. My biggest highlight since I started, it's hard to put one. I would say I have three or four. So when I started the company in 2016, 1 week after, I got a call from someone, from a friend of mine, and he said, "Hey, Budweiser and Labatt in Toronto are looking to do special cans,
Hmm.
special edition cans for the summer with Montreal Expos alumni and
Okay.
Montreal Expos legends. Could you help them? Because they're hard to reach. They're all over North America, somewhere in Dominican
Moises Alou?
Republic, Moises Alou, Vladimir Guerrero, and these."
Yeah.
So I said, "Yeah, tell him to call me." So I got a call from Budweiser in Toronto, and they say, "Hey, Simon, I heard you're helping brands to connect with athletes." I said, "Of course." He said, "Here's our project," and we started the negotiation. And then I told him, "Look, send me a list of your top 10 players that you'd like to make a special can with them, and I'll try to do it. And then I finally ended up with Tim Raines, and I have the cans here, and I wanted to show you. So this is the cans that we have done.
There you go.
One was under Tim Raines' name.
Nice.
This is the one that he signed for us. And then we had Vladimir Guerrero. So that was one of my first projects that I've done with the company. After that, in the same year, I've done a super nice project with Georges Saint-Pierre and Steve Bégin with a company called Challenge You. And we named them ambassador to promote school perseverance throughout this platform that offer online education for dropouts. So that was a huge success. We did press relations, we did a press conference, so many media impact we had. So that was a great project with Georges Saint-Pierre and Steve Bégin. And then most recently, we participated into a campaign with McDonald's when they did that concept with Marc Bergevin the last fall. And Guy Carbonneau was part of one TV commercial. And so I helped to connect with Guy Carbonneau on this one. So that was really cool to work with McDonald's, and Cossette is the marketing agency. And I would say the other one that was great is with Génération Pub. It's another marketing agency. I work with a lot of agencies also. And then their client was Copper Branch. Copper Branch is a new chain of vegan food, very good food. Yeah, and they're doing well. And they wanted to connect with two young athletes, one in Ontario, one in Quebec, and they wanted to show that to become extraordinary, you need to eat extraordinary food. And they asked me, who would you recommend to partner with for a TV ad? Two young athletes that are about to have a great career. So I proposed 6 athletes, and they came back, and we made a deal with Bianca Andreescu for Ontario, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who was the first round pick with the Canadiens 2 years ago. And we did that TV ad. It was very inspirational. Kotkaniemi was on the ice. You saw him in the gym training hard, and at the end he was eating the good food. We did the same with Bianca Andreescu, and that was just a couple of weeks before she started to win everything last year on the tour. Yeah. Before she won the Indian Wells tournament, we made the deal, and then after that, she had an incredible journey until becoming the new U.S. Open winner against Serena Williams. So
there you go. And who's your dream client?
My dream client, if I think about my idols,
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo is huge. That Ronaldo would be totally amazing. But just here in Canada, I would think about Wayne Gretzky or Patrick Roy in terms of legends, and like Michael Jordan. I don't know if you've seen the
Jordan. Oh, a beautiful man. We're at number 4 now, right? 5 is May 11, I think.
I just saw this first 2, so we're at 4. I have to catch up on that, but
I think there's 10 total. There's 10 total though.
Oh yeah, really? Yeah. It's a big documentary. Very good job. But no, Ronaldo is the ultimate athlete, I would say, in the world right now, because he's so popular. He's so big.
We have 30 seconds. So congratulations. Keep on doing what you're doing, man. And honestly, it's amazing because you bring value in not only in a business, in an event, whatever the case is, but in somebody's household, right? So keep on doing what you're doing. And if somebody wants to follow you, how can they follow you?
MVP Group Agency on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our website, mvpgroupagency.com. Perfect. So thank you very much for having me. It was a great talk. I really enjoyed it.
Merci beaucoup, Simon.
À bientôt.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, follow Simon and follow the Nick and Jimmy Show. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Take care.